Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Woods, Executive Director of Alumni Relations at Marist and a graduate of the class of 1997. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule this evening. We're excited to share this courtside chat with you featuring two graduates of the Marist basketball program and our head coaches, John Dunn of men's basketball and Brian Giorgis of women's basketball. I'd like to thank the Marist Athletics Department, specifically Harrison Baker and Tim Murray, who are here with us this evening, for their collaboration on this event. Normally, we'd be working together right now to plan some fan receptions at the tournament in Atlantic City. So we hope this event will help to pump up fans for next week's game. So welcome, Tim and Harrison.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So thank you very much, Amy, and a thank you to Harrison for working with you, Amy, and pulling this together. But really a special thank you to all of you that are tuning in this evening, just to kind of get a little inside look from Brian and from Coach Dunn. For those of you who haven't had a chance to meet Coach Dunn, I think many of you have met with Brian, but get a little inside look in terms of them personally and also the teams and the year that they had. So. But again, a really special thank you to Steph and to Steve Eggink, two of our alums that played basketball for us just a couple years ago. And, it's great that they took the time this evening to come join us and, kind of have a little chat here. And as you said, Amy, kind of get us ready for the tournament this year in a very much different way than it's ever been done before. But again, I hope that all of you that are joining us, you and your families are well. I know that it's been an extremely challenging time for everyone in many, many different ways. It's been one of the most challenging times for me personally and professionally. And I've heard Dr. Murray say the same thing. So no different for these coaches and obviously for all of you and most importantly for our athletes as well. So Again, thank you for coming this evening. And the one thing that I will say, and you'll hear this in the conversations over the next hour or so, is I just want to compliment both John and Brian for the job that they've done with their athletes. Yes, from a competitive perspective and having very successful years, on the court. But this year, as different as it was, what they had to do and what their student athletes had to do was like something that you can never imagine. These students have been on campus since November 22nd when the rest of our students left. They've been basically in quarantine on campus with the only exception of going to road games, literally get on a bus, go to the gym, get back on the bus and come back on campus. And they've been doing that for now almost 3 months. So, and they've done it without complaint. And they've done it well, and knock on wood, they've done it without exposing themselves to the virus, which is, as we all know, extremely, extremely difficult to do. So, I mean, hats off to both Brian and John, and again, as I said, most importantly to the athletes, because this is so different, a college experience for them than any of us ever had at Marist or anywhere. So, again, we hope that we can continue that for another week. Brian's got 2 more games left. John's done, except for the tournament. But, again, it's been a weird year. I'll let them, you hear it from them in their own words. But I just want to thank them for the job that they did and obviously the job that their kids did. So with that, again, thank you all very much for spending your time and your evening with us this evening. I think you'll enjoy it. I know Steph and Steve will do a great job. And again, thanks, Amy, for pulling this all together for all of us. So have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Just a couple notes about Zoom. I will in a minute, I don't want to do while I'm speaking, but I will paste in the chat box for everybody. I think I can put it in the chat box for you, it looks like, but I don't have chat open for everyone. A phone number and a passcode in case you have audio issues and you need to call in if you can't hear it on your computer. And I also wanted to mention that due to the number of participants in this evening's presentation, we've muted all lines except for the speakers, and the only cameras that will be shown are the speakers' cameras. So if you would like to submit a question, if you haven't done so already, because we do have some that were submitted in advance, please type it in the Q&A box. And Harrison and I will try to get through as many as we can as time allows following the presentation. So now I'd like to introduce our alumni guest. Stephanie Del Preore is the head coach of East Stroudsburg University's women's basketball team, where she guided the team to number 22 overall in NCAA Division II last season. At Marist, Stephanie finished her career with 1,114 points. She was named to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC, all-rookie team following her freshman season. During her senior campaign, she led Marist to the program's first NCAA Division I tournament appearance after being named the MVP of the MAAC tournament. Stephanie also spent one season in Leoa, Spain, playing basketball at the professional level for Club Irlandesa of the Liga Femenina 2 in 2004 and 2005. While there, she led the team in scoring, rebounding, and minutes played. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Amy, and you did a great job pronouncing everything.
Steve Eggink has served as an analyst for Marist men's and women's basketball for more than 15 years. A 5-year member of the Marist men's basketball program from 1980 to 1985, Steve played 83 games, had an 89% free throw, and scored a total of 996 points. As a senior, he earned all ECAC Metro honors and was voted team MVP in 1985. Steve also received the 1984 Alumni Leadership Award from the Alumni Association. His career has included serving as an assistant coach and academic advisor at Marist, assistant coach at the University of Oregon, and assistant coach at St. Mary's. Steve coached the boys basketball squad at Socrates High School for 17 years, where he retired from teaching after 30 years. Steve and his wife, Kathy, a 1985 Marist grad, have 3 daughters, Amanda, Sabrina, and Michelle. Michelle is a 2018 Marist grad. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
And now I'd like to welcome our coaches. John Dunn was hired as the 12th head coach in Marist men's basketball program history on April 3rd, 2018. A well-respected coach for his work at the conference, regional, and national levels, John has been a head coach for 15 years and is a 2011 MAAC champion and 2017 Collegiate Insider Tournament champion. Welcome, John.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
One of the most dominant programs in Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference history, Marist women's basketball has transformed under the leadership of Brian Giorgis. Brian has led the Red Foxes to 10 NCAA tournament appearances, 5 NCAA tournament victories, and a Sweet 16 appearance. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Amy. And Steve, 4 points short of 1,000.
If he shot 90% instead of 89, he would have got 1,000. That's what I was
I
saying.
needed to make 4 more free throws.
Well, and if they would have had the 3-point line.
That's true.
Oh, that stinks. I got to talk to Ron Petro and find out why you didn't get put it, keep you in longer. Run up the score on somebody.
Well, that's a good way to hand it over to you, Steve, if you'd like to get things started.
Sure. Happy to. Before I ask John my first question, I just want to say congratulations. As most of you, I'm sure, know, the Foxes won their last 3 regular season games, finished with an overall record of 12-8, 10-8 in the conference, first round bye in the conference tournament. So John really has his team playing at a high level. But my first question, Coach, Tim got into it a little bit, but this has really been an unprecedented year, you know, with the coronavirus, COVID-19, all of the stops, pauses, schedule changes. You know, obviously you and your staff have done a great job navigating through it all, but just give people a little bit of a sense of what you've had to do during this very, very difficult season.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, expect the unexpected, you know, through the whole season. I mean, you know, Brian and I, although we communicated a lot my first 2 years, I think we talk almost every day now, you know, and because we're just kind of comparing, you know, notes on how we're handling things and kind of helping each other out when we can and being sounding boards for each other. And, Yeah, listen, I mean, we just talked about, we just had to persevere through the season, you know, whatever, we talked to the team about being mentally tough, and whatever was going to happen, we just had to deal with it. We had to stay positive, and we couldn't complain, and we just had to forge ahead. You know, we knew we had a big obstacle ahead of us because we had such a young, inexperienced group, you know, and you know, it's hard when, you know, it's hard for every student. It's hard for every athlete. It's, I think in particular, it's probably more difficult for freshmen. You know, Brian has a handful of freshmen too, because they don't know anybody on campus, and it's hard to get to know people on campus when you're constantly going on pauses or you can't really socialize. So it's been hard for them. And then typically freshmen get a little homesick too, right? So there's been a lot of peaks and valleys this year, but I think for the most part, we've stayed tough and we've stayed resilient, and we've just taken what's come and we've moved ahead. You know, Marist and administration and Tim have made it, you know, easy for us, and, you know, with all the things they've put in place to try to help us, you know, through the difficult days, you know, but you know, just taking it day by day, and we're still taking it day by day because we have a lot of protocols to follow this next week.
Okay, great. Thanks. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So Coach, similar question. You're most definitely having an incredible season, and it's one that we honestly didn't even know would happen. What perspective have you gained from having this COVID pandemic season? And also, what has been the biggest challenges for you, your staff, your team, as I know you know, have a lot of freshmen?
Well, like John said, it's been a daily grind. You know, our kids have gone through a lot, and you know, in the beginning we complained a bit, we rumbled, but we can't thank Dr. Murray and Deb and Jeff Brackett and Tim Murray enough for the protocols they put in for us to keep us safe. And even more amazing was that our kids did them all to the T. We've had to move. Tomorrow we have to move again out of Talmadge. I think we've been in almost every dorm and townhouse on Marist campus. We have to move again tomorrow so that we can put ourselves in the best situation for not getting COVID before going to the MAAC tournament. And I think the toughest part of this, and I know John can attest to it, is, you know, during the season, none of our players have tested positive. Yeah, we've been put on pause and we've lost games and stuff like that because of it, because of what's happened in other people's programs, and we understand it. You know, when we play St. Peter's on Thursday, it'll be our first game in over 3 weeks, and not due to anything that our kids have done, and they just keep, you know, keeping their head down, you know, and just attacking it day in and day out and just doing what everybody asks them to do. And even, you know, now with, you know, the games coming up, you're going to see for the first time that we're going to wear masks in the game, both us and St. Peter's again, you know, because now you've passed the point of no return. If somebody tests positive, they're not going to be playing, and you're trying to do everything that, you know, you can so that, you know, your team doesn't get affected by it. So, you know, both teams are going to be wearing masks, and I couldn't be more proud of a group of kids. In 19 years of coaching at this level and 25 years in high, I don't think I could be more proud of a team who's had to overcome so much adversity in this thing. I mean, I literally thought with all the people that we lost, losing a 2,000 point scorer, a 1,500 point scorer, a 1,000 point scorer, that, you know, I thought winning 5 games would have been a good season. And here we are at 14-2 and winning our 13th MAAC championship in 19 years. I couldn't be more proud of a group of young ladies. And really, and I know John would say the same thing, I can't thank my assistant coaches enough. Myself being almost 66, diabetic, you know, I have really been overly paranoid about COVID. And a lot of times, and trust me, I do coach from the sideline, but I try to stay away from people. And my coaches are out there on the court and stuff. And really the job that Aaron Dowdy's done with this program. She basically runs the day-to-day operations. I kind of hide in my room and watch film. But she basically runs a lot of the things and stuff. I'm trying to get her ready to be a head coach, hopefully to replace me someday. But, you know, these last 2 years, and especially this year, she's just done an incredible job, as the rest of my staff has done. And director of basketball operations, you may not think they have an important role, but I know how much Dorian does, and I know how much Elise Slump does for me. And she actually now gets mad at me. I say, you know, especially getting ready for the MAAC tournament. Have you done? Oh, come on. I'm on those emails. I've done that, you know. And they get kind of mad when they see other people that haven't done it in their program. So, I mean, we both have great director of basketball ops.
Well, yeah, I mean, unsung heroes this season for everybody, I think, from what I've heard, has been the Dobos helping everybody out. But again, with men's and women's team both doing so well this year, and with the women's team, you know, like you said, 14-2, I think it's also a testament to both coaching staffs being able to keep everybody in check, follow protocol, and then still be able to coach every game. So go ahead, Steve.
Sure. John, this season, you've had a lot of significant injuries. I don't know if everybody, you know, joining us tonight really recognizes that. Hey, this is a no excuse business, as you well know, but I mean, you lost Mike Cubbage. He was your leading scorer, rebounder, assist man. You know, after early in the season, you lose him. And Zion Tordoff, he would have been one of your first posts off the bench, I would imagine, and lost him to the season. Matt Harasmi was out 3 games early on. He is gutted through the season. You know, I don't think he's been right, but he's made some big shots. Great defender, still playing great defense. And then you lose Victor Eno, you know, who had been playing really well for you. So you have really persevered. I think you and your staff have done a great job. But just talk about your the injuries that you've had to overcome. And, you know, you've done a great job, and you ended the season on a big uptick, but you had to endure a lot of key injuries.
Yeah, so we were on like a 30-day pause, I think it was. And then our first day back off that, we were just doing some warm-up stuff, and Zion started limping. And we thought he just tweaked something, and then it turns out that he actually tore, you know, a ligament. So, you know, and it was really unfortunate. We were definitely disappointed, but you still feel, and you're disappointed for him, senior, but you still feel like, all right, we still have 2 centers, and, you know, we'll be okay. And you know, and then in the 4th game, and Mike Cubbage was playing well this year too. And he worked extremely hard. My heart broke for him early on because he worked so hard in the off season. He was leaner and stronger, and his shot had improved. And he was really primed to have a really good year, I believe, you know, and maybe even an all conference type of year. And for him to go down in the 4th game, you know, it was a blow. And now you have to, we had 4 guards, and you have 3 left, 1 junior college guy who's very inexperienced, and 2 freshmen. And now, you know, they have to get all the minutes there at the guard position. And now we're playing back-to-back games, and they're homesick, and the pandemic and all of the stuff that goes with it. So, but, you know, listen, we've had peaks and valleys. We've had ups and downs, but they've stuck with it, and they've persevered, and they've worked really, really hard, you know. And then, yeah, Marasmi misses the first 2 games. And then he missed a game a week or so ago, the first one down at St. Peter's, but he's had a few injuries with his hand and wrist, and he actually just got a cortisone shot to last him through the year, and then he'll go and get an MRI and see what's going on for that. Hopefully it's just a deep bone bruise and nothing worse than that in his non-shooting hand. So he's gutting it, you know, he's a tough kid, and he's gutting it up for us and for the program. And then it was it was definitely a devastating, you know, to find out that Victor going down to a couple weeks ago, you know. Now Henry McKinney's not a center, but he is long at 6'7", and we can plug him in there. And because he stayed, you know, positive, and he had such good character through the season when he wasn't playing so much, he's ready to seize the moment and you know, help us win. And, you know, he played a real big part in the first Quinnipiac win at home the other day, and he's really helped us in the games that he's played. And so just like anything else, you know what I mean? You're just, every day we're trying to get better. We're not looking at the big picture. We're trying to focus on the little things to get better with our group and have a will to prepare to win, you know, the next game. And that's what we've done all year. You know, I do believe we won some games early on where we played well, but the team was kind of haphazard. But I really believe in the last week or so, we've really made a jump, and we're becoming a team right now. You know, I could truly say that. And doesn't guarantee anything. Tournament time, you still have to, you know, play hard, be stingy on defense, be low turnover, and execute, make enough shots. But I'm certainly feeling good going in, and I feel good about our chemistry right now.
Okay, great. Stephanie, go ahead.
Coach, as we mentioned before, you have a young team with 5 freshmen, but with that said, you have Sarah and Willow, a junior and a senior, who are leading your team right now in scoring with just about 25 points a game. Talk about their dynamic on the court.
Well, the great thing about this team that I love is it's your classic wholes greater than the sum of the parts. Their chemistry on the court is great. They get along well with each other. They know if something like we had early in the year where Sarah Barcelo went down for 5 games, and it was right during the heart of when we were playing the top 3 preseason people in 3 of those games. And the next person stepped up, and Trinasia stepped up her game, and Kendall Crick came in and did some yeoman's work. Our freshman post and Caitlin and Zaria did a great job. But really it all begins and starts with our 2 senior captains. They have been 2 of the best captains that I have ever had at any level. And it's funny because a lot of times, you know, they're captains that don't want to step on people's toes. And, you know, these are 2 that it's about their season, it's about their legacy, and they really haven't had to step on toes as much as things happen, but they were willing to sit there. If something's going on in the team, they let us know. And, you know, we're not worried about if they're going to be liked or not. And I had captains like that in 13 and 14, and Casey Doolin and Leanne Ockenden and Emma O'Connor. And they were like that. And they really helped everybody because they were no nonsense people. And just to watch Allie Best go through practice is really a treat because, you know, she keeps people there and together, and she's kind of the rah-rah person, and you know, they really, you know, she helps the guards and Willows helps the bigs, and it's really been a nice symmetry with all of these guys. So I can't say enough of the job that they've done, but you know, it's one of those type of teams where, you know, like last year and stuff, you could be willing to bet that either Alana was going to get the ball or Becca was going to get the ball or Grace was going to do something to get them the ball. And this year we just run a set. They know the options to each of it, and whoever has the shot, they take it if it's a good shot. And unfortunately, we've been in a lot of situations where it hasn't come down to that, but we're a hard team to guard because all 5 people and the bench kids can all score it. And you can't slough off of one because somebody will step up. And I think we've had about 6 or 7 kids have had double-figure games or close to it.
Do you think the way that the season ended last year motivated those 2 seniors to be the captains that they are this year?
Very much so. And it also motivated our 2 juniors and our 3 sophomores. They were not happy with the way the season ended and how it went about. And in a credit to them, they didn't sit there and say we've lost a lot of people. They felt that they could do it. And I think it just shocked a lot of people in the conference that we were as good. And we did it, you know, a little bit differently, even though we're one of the top 3 teams in scoring. You know, we've led the conference in defense, and I think we're second in the nation in scoring defense. So, and even though we're not the quickest, most athletic team, they've really bought into our scout defense. And I think Coach Dowdy's done a great job. And each person that has their scout does a great job in emphasizing the things and tendencies of our opponents. And they do a pretty good job for the most part of taking them away.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed watching it. So, Steve?
Me too.
Sure. Coach, Ricardo Wright, really a dynamic player. Personally, I think he's the front runner for the MAAC, Rookie of the Year. You got some competition from a couple other kids, of course, but I've said it in the broadcast, John, all year long. The kid is a shot maker. He has been your leading scorer really most of the season. But talk about his big game attributes. I mean, he's made some big shots for you when the game has been on the line, whether it's foul shots, big time 3-pointers. He's really matured as the season has gone on. But just talk about what Ricardo Wright brings to the table for you.
Yeah, he has a lot of courage. It starts there, and then confidence, right? So those are probably the two biggest things. And he just believes he's really good, and he's a heck of a player, and the positive for us is that he has a lot of room for growth, and so it starts with the skill. He's got the courage to take the big shot, to put the game on his shoulders, and the confidence that he's going to make it. So as the season's gone on, we've tried to figure out different ways to get the ball in his hand. He wasn't really a pick and roll guy, a ball screen guy, but we're trying to develop his game in that regard. To help him obviously improve his game, over the year and through the course of his career. We knew he was good, running him off some baseline things, even though we don't do that a ton in our offense. We started kind of doing that a little bit lately, and then some dribble handoffs and stuff. So, he's a skilled player with confidence, and he's going to get better. He's going to get better and better as his career goes on.
And inside, Jordan Jones, boy, he has been a constant for you too, Coach. I mean, he's fourth in the conference in field goal percentage. I mean, he's shooting just under 60%. But I get a lot of calls about him, Marist fans. He's ambidextrous inside. He can score the basketball with either hand. He's great. He's got great footwork, great with his back to the basket. Just have to keep him on the floor. Sometimes I know I see over there, sometimes, those moving screens can drive a coach nuts, but he has been great for you this year too.
Yeah. So we're down at St. Peter's, and he has 3 fouls, and there's 8.5 minutes to go, Coach Giorgis, and 3 fouls. You have to put him back in with 8.5 to go. And my staff was split. Should we put him back in? Should we not put him back in? So of course I said, listen, I'm not going to foul him out by keeping him on the bench too long. So I put him back in. Within a minute, he commits his 4th and then gets a technical, and he fouls out of the game. And, there's nothing worse than 3 of your guys on staff giving you, I told you so. But I would do the same thing again. He just can't. The referees were on edge that day, and from the day before, because it was a little wild down there. And then you go into the first Quinnipiac game, he has 1 foul. There's 2 minutes to go. One of my assistants, Dilly Batia, says to me, before he picks up his second, do you want to get him on the bench? And I wanted to keep him in for the last 2 minutes. And then, of course, a minute later, he picks up his second. But Jordan, for him, he just gets fatigued. And when he gets fatigued, he just commits, silly fouls. And clearly can't be doing that in the tournament. You've got to put ourselves in the best position to win. And him on the bench, isn't the best position for us to win. Now, that being said, when he came to us, he wasn't a back to the basket scorer. We took him as just an energy guy, a defensive guy. Then when he got here, we realized, oh boy, he's got a really pretty hook, not just to the left shoulder, but also to the right shoulder. And there are teams that scout us that think he's a lefty when they first start watching film. And he was going 100 miles an hour, and we didn't have to teach him how to shoot a jump hook. He came with that, but we just had to teach him how to slow down and read the defense. And that was the big thing for us, just to slow him down. So he's up there in field goal percentage. He creates a crowd, so he opens up shots for other guys. And if it wasn't for Casey Ndefu down at St. Peter's, I think he'd be, defensive player of the year. He's 2nd in the conference in block shots. So he's really, he's had a heck of a season. And, hopefully he'll get rewarded with some kind of all league. I'm not, I don't worry too much about that kind of stuff, but I know how much work he's put in. And the other thing is, he has great game plan discipline. He always knows what's going on with our game plans, and we do a lot with our game planning, and he's always up here watching film with the assistants by himself, taking notes, and doing more than what we're asking him to do. So yeah, I'm glad for him, and obviously glad for us that he's playing well.
Great.
John, can you show us what you do to slow down kids? Because we have a freshman who goes 150 miles an hour when we need her to go about 40.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, just a bit, Steph.
I'm like, wow, slow down and read the defense. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
So Coach, let's talk about motion. I obviously ran it with you. It's in my dreams, and it's sometimes I hear motion in my nightmares, but I want to know where you got it from, why it's been so successful, and what has it taken for your team to get there this year, because you're now second in the league in scoring.
I started motion probably my third to last year in high school. We had played. Well, one of the things that showed me, I knew I needed something when we would scrimmage Christ is King with Sue Bird and those people. I remember one time Rita McGarity getting all over my case, like, why aren't you getting my daughter the ball? And Dave McGarity just going nuts on her, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Because we just, we would run our sets and they didn't let you run your sets. And there was a guy by the name of Mark Ward who actually his daughter is in the PT school at Marist and coaches high school basketball in Binghamton. And he kind of showed me some stuff with Echo Command and things like that. And I just started picking up things in terms of running a motion offense. And I liked being able to screen and shaping up opposite. And that was the whole focal point of it. And we just seem to get better and better at it every year. And this year we've even added more to it, basically a whole different type of motion offense that basically cuts down a whole bunch of movement to a couple people keeping the floor spread, couple people screening, making reads and calls. And even we've gone to an open floor spread with it. And those three things, we can do a lot out of. And we've always felt, and it's part of the reason why nobody likes to play us, if I don't know what they're going to do out there, the other team sure as heck doesn't know what they're going to know, what we're doing. And as long as it's, people make the calls and learn to read. And I think the hardest thing, it's kind of like what John says, is in motion, the most common mistake is people run it too fast. They almost try to set the Guinness Book of World Records for most screens in 30 seconds. And they don't read anything, and they don't read the defense, and they just look like they're running around with like chickens with their head cut off. And we have to get them to run it slower and make reads. And they've gotten better at it. And, plus you've got to be a decent passer. And, probably the best team I had with it was a team with Coriel Yard and Erica Allenspa that basically was an injury away in the Duke game of going to the Sweet 16. But I mean, that team could just, and the year after, they could just run motion. And I remember them driving Andy Landers crazy, because the one thing out of motion is if your kid's guarding you too tight, just take them. And they'd be screaming for help, but the other people are worried about how the other people are screening. They don't think that the other person's going to just take it to the hole. So it's been our bread and butter. A lot of people have asked us about it, and most people can't run it because they don't have the patience to run it and to stick with it and stuff. And we've talked to so many people. I remember going up to UMass once and showing it. And after 3 weeks, she was back to her other stuff because she just didn't have the patience for it. So, hey, that's fine, as long as I got the patience for it, and my staff does. And Coach Meggs runs it down at American, and it causes a lot of problems. And, it's been good for us.
It works.
That's all that matters. It works.
So, Coach, freshman Hakeem Bird and your JC transfer Raheem Sullivan, they've really solidified the point guard position. I know you play them together at times too. They work well off of each other, but they've really done a nice job for you. They had really a nice series, excellent series to close out the season against Quinnipiac. But just talk about some of their attributes, what they bring to the table. But overall, they've been very, very impressive this year.
Yeah, their games are a little different. But obviously we brought in much needed ball handling and playmaking this year. Those were, two of the main guys for that. And then obviously we spoke on Ricardo, but Raheem is just got such a quick first step, and he's so good in the open court. And, there's a lot of teams in our league that are very aggressive defensively and get up and deny and play really tough on the ball. And those are good games for him, and the first game against Quinnipiac, they would kind of keep, letting us get into a rhythm, running our offense. And then in game 2, they made an effort to really try to blow up, our passes and our wing entries and really pressure the ball. So I knew it was going to be a good game for him. And then he really came on in the second half, not shooting the ball great this year. Last year in junior college, he shot at about 37%. I think, going into next year, he would shoot, he'll shoot the ball with a little bit more confidence, and that'll improve. But his playmaking is just really, really good. And we just need to, for him, he leaves his feet, and he makes some undisciplined plays at times. We just got to get him to stay on the ground a little bit more. But obviously he's shown some dynamic passing through the year as well, and in finishing. And Hakeem Bird, little more steady, shoots it a little bit better. And again, he's fearless as well, and can play make. And I think, for Hawk, he came from a really successful high school program down in Philly, and anybody can bring the ball up the court down there. So he wasn't like the prototypical point guard, although we knew he could make plays off the bounce. So he's comfortable, going, running the wing, as well as having the ball in his hands. So you can play those two guys together a little bit. Sometimes it gets a little hard on the defensive end, and that's why maybe sometimes I don't do it, for long stretches. But offensively, I think they both can play. So, Hawk has courage. And, even yesterday, I thought he was fantastic in game 1 against Quinnipiac. I thought he was really good down at St. Peter's last week. And then he was maybe freshman, a little tired in the first half in game 2 against Quinnipiac, and had some turnovers and was a little groggy, but then came up big, through the second half with his toughness. So, for me, it just sometimes it gets hard down the stretch with 4, 5, 6 minutes to go in a game, to have one of those two guys, Ricardo as well, have one of those 3 guys on the bench, you know what I mean? But sometimes you need a little bit more size, rebounding, defense, for the other end, so sometimes that gets a little bit hard, but certainly those guys are cheering each other on and have had great team spirit. And, we're blessed to have all 3.
Great. Stephanie, go ahead.
So currently you guys lead the league in scoring defense at 49.9 points a game, and you're actually second nationally as well in the same category. So what can you attribute the defensive intensity to, and what specifically do you like about the team on the defensive end this year?
Well, I think if you start on the inside first is, when you've got Caitlin Weimer and Willow Duffel at 6'4" and 6'2", in the lineup, you've got people who can protect the paint. And even though we're not really up there in block shots and stuff, they alter a lot of shots, and we've won games. Like, we needed 3 stops in the last minute against Ryder to win a game, and Caitlin Weimer blocked 2 of the shots that they took in that time. We have what I feel are 2 of the best on the ball defenders in the league, in Trenasia Kennedy, who was nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, and Kendall Crick. And when we lost Sarah Barcelo, we lost a lot of offense, but we had those 2 kids on the floor, and they did such a tremendous job on teams that really had, it's a guard-oriented league, that really did a great job when we beat Fairfield by 19 the first time, and they had the preseason Player of the Year, and kid who I voted for to be the Player of the Year, Lou Lopez Senechal, and she goes 3 for 16 from the field with Trenasia basically on her, and Kendall, to give Trenasia a break. when you've got two stalwart defenders like that, plus that in type of combination in the posts, that really helps. But I think a lot of it is, I really give my coaching staff a lot of credit. They really focus. They each have scouts, and it's kind of interesting with this year where you only had to prepare for one team in a week. The one person who has it really has focus. We really sit down and look at the tendencies and stuff, and we know how to guard certain things. And we I think have done so far a pretty good job of taking away people's tendencies and forcing them into areas or to do things that they're not really comfortable in. Because it's definitely not the most athletic team that I've had. But it's a smart team. They communicate well, and they work to their strengths. And even though, you take Sarah Barcelo and Allie Best are not the two quickest people, but boy, they have incredible basketball IQ where they anticipate well. They put themselves into positions. They'll take a charge. They'll help somebody out. And, we'll get a real good test coming off of, it's kind of interesting. The last time we came off a pause, we scored a whooping 14 points in the first half against Ryder. But fortunately, we held them to 15, so we were only down 15-14. And what we thought would have been the lowest scoring half ever until Monmouth and Fairfield broke that a couple weeks later. But, our defense has carried us most of the year.
It's been fun to watch. It looks like obviously you're prepared every game, but also I think teams are scared to go inside against you guys, which is new and different because I feel like you didn't always have that size defensively. So now I think it's definitely helping you guys out.
Yeah, and even when we take those guys out, either one or the other, you bring in a Zaria Demember-Chaser who's the exact opposite, who's quick, fast, goes 140 miles an hour when we'd like her to go 80 or 90. But on the defensive end, sometimes that's really helpful because, things will look open and all of a sudden she's just cat quick and she's got the ball. And Sam Bailey has come off the bench too and done a nice job helping out, using her experience and athleticism in the post. So, and she's 6'2". So even though Zaria is a little undersized, she much more than makes up for it. She's as quick as a guard. And I think one last thing that really helps too is Willow is the type of defender, and it's what we recruited her for. We noticed in AAU that when she would switch ball screens, she could guard guards, which is pretty amazing for a kid. She's pretty athletic, but, she's been able to do that. So, and since our 4 players in the league are very guard-like, she's been able to guard them, and now she's a matchup problem for them at 6'2", and they're at 5'11" or maybe 6 foot. So that's really helped us defensively as well. But I really have to give credit to my coaching staff. They do a tremendous job in their scouts. I complimented Maggie Gallagher today in our film session with all the different clips of St. Peter's presses. It's like, wow, that's the one I wanted. Wow, that's the one I wanted, so that the kids could see it. Now we have to go in and execute, because one thing we cannot emulate with a lot of these people is their speed and quickness. And they are the quickest, fastest team in the league. So.
Think you'll do just fine.
I hope so.
John, your team has been great down the stretch in games this season. You've won 7 games by 5 points or less. You've been great at the foul line, but what is it about this team? Hey, they're certainly not a veteran team. You got a young club, but they have been great down the stretch. What's been the difference?
Yeah, it's kind of last year we couldn't win those games, and it wasn't because we didn't prepare or play hard, or we had courage as well last year, but we just didn't really have anybody to make a play off the bounce. Like coaches, runs his motion and has IQ players, and players make plays, right? He puts them in position, but they make the plays. And same thing, like for us, you try to put your players in the best position, to have success. But it's not the play call a lot of times down the stretch. It's a player making a play. And, we have the courage, they have the confidence, and they've just made plays, you know. But then on the other end, you know, so we have some returners that, you know, they're willing to give their body up for the cause, and you know, the Harassmes and Jordan Jones on defense, and you know, Tyler St. Fursey, these guys, and Braden Bell this year has, you know, last year was a 3-point shooter, occasional offensive rebound. This year he's getting traffic rebounds, making multiple efforts. He's really grown in that regard. So we just got a nice blend, you know, right now going on both ends of the floor, you know. So yeah, we've been fortunate, but it comes down to those guys having the confidence to make plays. And listen, I better thank my staff too, because Coach Giorgis is all over that, and I'm going to hear about it if I don't.
Well, you know, too, John, you guys make free throws down the stretch. Where
Yeah.
that used to be an adventure at times. I know I'd be holding my breath, and these guys shoot free throws
Yeah.
well in the clutch.
Yeah, that should have been first and foremost, right? Yeah, right on the head. See, that's why he's won 1,000 games right there.
And also, Coach, we've talked about it a little bit on post-game interviews. You have kids this year, and everybody doesn't have this attribute, but they want the basketball in their hands when it's winning time.
Yeah.
They don't shy away from it. I'm not saying they're going to make every shot now, but they want the ball in their hands, and I think that is a great trait that more than just one or two of your kids has.
Yeah, no, that's the courage for you and the confidence, right? They want the ball in their hands, and then as a coach, you just want them to make the right play, right? You don't want them to force the shot. You want them to make the right decision. And then if you make the right decision, I'll always say, you know, I'll live with the result. You know, if we miss it, then we tip our hat, and so be it. But you know, if you execute well and you're playing selfless basketball, and you make the right decision, then we'll live with the rest. And we're growing in that regard. You know, that's just a process, you know, every team has to go through. So, but we're getting better at that for sure.
Great. Stephanie, go ahead.
So Allie Best leads the country in assist to turnover ratio. And you mentioned earlier what a great leader she's been. How important is her role to the success of the team going into the MAAC tournament?
Well, you know, I've always believed that the point guard is the heart of a team. And, you know, she has the heart of a lion. She's everything you want in a point guard. She takes care of the basketball. She distributes the basketball. She makes everybody around her better. And she's so fiery and a competitor. She reminds me a lot of Elisa Kresge when Kress used to have that fire and stuff. She can get really fiery and stuff in games. And the other thing is which Kresge didn't do, is she'll shoot the basketball, and she's shooting it at a very good clip this year, especially from three. And she wants the ball down the stretch. She wants to have the balls to get, you know, kind of reminds me of Nikki Flores, wants the ball at the end of the game, you know, if they're going to start fouling people, and wants to be at the free throw line. And you need those type of things. But she is your coach on the floor. And it's just so much fun when you're sitting back in practice and watching, and you see her go over to Annabelle Ellison or Trenasia or any of the guards and just starts, you know, talking to them and giving them just little helpful hints and pointers. But like I said, she is having a tremendous year for her. She had to play in the shadow of Grace Vanderweyde for the last couple of years, and now it's her turn to shine, and she's made the most of it.
Yeah, she's been great to watch too.
Do you mind if I jump in with some questions from our participants?
Sure.
So we had some submitted in advance, and then I have a few coming in live tonight. I'm going to start with this one. For either coach or both coaches, what are some of the effects of playing the same team back to back right now?
Coach, go ahead.
I love it because, first of all, you don't have a ton of adjustments to make because you don't have enough time to do it. John and I have talked about this, and I personally hope we do it again next year, but I wouldn't mind having the game in between or the day in between to prepare. But, you know, I've had to go to Quinnipiac and play there twice. I had to go to Fairfield and play there twice. And I want them to come play me twice at my place. And yeah, if I have to go to Manhattan, if I have to go to some of the other places, that's fine. But it allows you to focus just on one team. And you don't have to sit there and worry about focusing on 2 teams in a week. So I've actually have enjoyed it. I haven't enjoyed going to Quinnipiac, playing, coming back, and going to Quinnipiac and playing and coming back. It's just a lot of time in the bus, but hey, that's what we had to do to stay safe. That's what we did to stay safe. And, you know, for the most part, we did pretty well.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. I like it. You know, I don't think that's a popular opinion on the men's side with the coaches. From what I'm hearing through the season, I don't think most of them like it, but I do. I like prepping for the one team, trying to make some subtle adjustments going for the next day, and I actually like the back. I mean, it's, you know, like Brian said, if we had the day in between, that would be fine as well. I'm not sure. I don't know how the players feel about the back-to-back, but personally, from a selfish standpoint, I like it. And then you get to decompress, you know, the day after that a little bit, catch your breath, and then start to rev up, you know, for the next weekend. Because if it goes back to the old schedule, and I'm sure, you know, it may, you know, now we're playing sometimes 5 games in 12 days, you know, throughout, you know, when classes start. And that's hard to me in a lot of ways. That's harder for the student athlete, you know, than anything. And then it doesn't give the coaches a time to decompress. So I like the back-to-backs, but I don't think it's going to be here for, you know, for the long haul.
Yeah, I don't either.
It could, the game 2s can get ugly now. So, I mean, we know that.
All right, let's see. So how did the standings work with some schools dropping out from finishing the season, but still planning to play in the MAAC?
I think we're the only ones that had somebody drop out for the season in Canisius. And so now instead of an 11-team tournament, it's a 10-team tournament where on Tuesday, 8 will play 9 and 7 will play 10, and we'll play the winner of 8-9 on Wednesday, and 2 will play the winner of 7-10. The men's, I think everybody's still in, so they go 6-11 on Monday, 7-10, 8-9 on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, you know, it's the same type of thing. You got the quarterfinals. Oh no, yours is Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. But so it's the total number of wins. So that's all it's going by. It doesn't matter how many losses you have. The standings will be on total number of wins. The first tie break is head to head, and then from there it goes on. You know, it goes if that's even, then it goes to the tops who beat the top seed, and then down. I don't know all the secondary tiebreakers, but you know, that's the gist of it. So. You know, it really was the only way, right, Brian? It's the only way they could do it, because you can't go by percentage, because somebody that's, you know, 3-0, you know, I don't think would deserve a first place if they only played 3 games. So, you know, doing the best we can, and I think that was the fair way to do it.
Yeah. Although I kind of disagree with the thing where they go down to the 3rd place team, the 4th. I've seen conferences now go to RPI for the tiebreaker after the head-to-head. Like last year, our RPI was 54 and Riders was 93, but they gave them the championship because they beat Fairfield twice, and we split with them, and they don't take into consideration that they lost to a bottom 50 team, a 301. You can see I'm still a little bitter over all this. But I like what other schools have done is they've gone to RPIs. Where it does
So a couple questions on recruiting. I don't think you guys touched upon recruiting yet. How has this whole lockdown situation affected your recruiting?
You're seeing it right here, virtual.
Yeah, it's virtual, you know, and I mean, fortunately for us, Marist presents well, you know, virtually, and you know, our admissions office has a ton of videos, and obviously a lot of them are even on YouTube. So we've taken some off YouTube. Now they've given us some to work with as well. it just presents well, you know, and we've gotten good at doing presentations over Zoom. So, and then you just try to, just like, you know, you're just trying to build relationships, whether it's, you know, over the phone, over Zoom, texting, and, but you can get a good feel for our campus. Obviously, nothing is like being on campus itself, but you can get a good feel for our campus, you know, virtually. And I definitely applaud, you know, those across campus that are doing a great job with admissions.
Yeah, and not only that, do they have great visual things, but you know, we've had kids come up, we can't talk to them, but they do the tours around campus, either the driving tour or, you know, Marist has had the tours. Obviously, they've been doing them out of the McCann Center, and you know, starting there and using the new facility to start things. But I mean, and I don't know where you are in your recruiting, but we have next year's class. We have one more scholarship that we're looking to get to a grad transfer, and we're pretty close there. And then the following year, we've got 2 out of our 3, and could be done with that class relatively soon. So, you know, and that's because of the way Marist presents itself. Plus, you know, people know that we have a gorgeous campus, that we're high academics. You know, you can get the type of people that you want. And for our program, they've seen what the success that we've had, and that helps. So there's a lot of things that we do have going for us to go along with all the support from admissions that we have and the people on campus.
Stephanie, I have one for you.
Okay.
From an alum who I happen to know lives down in Atlanta, calling in tonight, watching.
Hey, Tim,
How much of your current coaching philosophy and techniques come from your time at Marist? Do
Good
you run the
question.
motion?
Pretty much everything comes from Coach Giorgis. Though I probably wasn't the best motion player he's ever had, I definitely do teach it with my team. I've learned the idea of having patience with my team after 15 years now of coaching at the college level. And last year at East Stroudsburg was the best team I've had run motion in all my years of coaching. They understood it. They understood that you had to be patient. And like Coach said, you don't need to set 30 screens in one possession. And there definitely were games in the 20 wins that we had last year that we won because of running our motion and keeping the floor spread. So I definitely utilize it every single day. And I find myself saying things that Coach Giorgis said to me back in 2004. And then I stop myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's literally from like right from him coming right out my mouth. So I kind of stopped myself, and I still talk, you know, to all the girls that have played since I've been there. Even the current players, and I'm very close with the coaching staff. So whenever I have a question, I reach out to them. I even reach out to Nikki Flores down at American, and we're all still very tight-knit group. And almost everybody that is now coaching after graduating at Marist is running something along the lines of their own motion, if not all coaches' motion.
And that was actually the second part of his question. If you still, talk to alums who become coaches, and if you still pick Brian's brain.
Yes, you know, I chat with Coach all the time, and every once in a while I get a little package in the mail from him, which is awesome to see, or a card or something. And I talk to Erin and Maggie on Coach's staff almost daily, as well as, you know, my college roommate, Carrie. We played together 4 years, and then everybody else that's coaching now, we all are in touch. We have a group chat of 13 alumni, and then we have another group chat of about 6 or 8 of us that all coach, from Maureen McGarity, Elisa Kresge, Nikki Flores. So yes, we still all talk. It's a very tight-knit group, and it's pretty much attributed to being at Marist and playing for Coach. Even though not all of us played together, we still are very close.
Very cool.
So cool. I love it.
Steph and I don't talk as much as we'd like to, but she has Erin that gives her all because Erin's brain is better than mine. So when Steph has questions, she usually, you know, goes to Erin. And by the way, Steph is a huge Don Mattingly fan, just in case you wanted to know. Huge. But
also, before Coach said Coach Dowdy, and he said Coach Gallagher, and I'm like, who are they? And then I remembered, oh, Maggie and Erin, they have last names. Like, I have no idea who he was talking about. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Brian, I feel like this whole time Tom Brady has been part of our webinar, right behind your shoulder there, because every time you move over, his full face is in view.
That's Tom Brady autograph picture, Tom Brady autograph card, and over here is Tom Brady autograph football. And I don't like Tom Brady. I'm not no, Aaron's a huge Patriot fan. I'm more of a Peyton Manning fan, and he's over here on this side and in a couple of other places, both in the Denver Broncos. And as you might be able to tell, I like sports memorabilia.
Yeah.
And my place,
Yeah.
I kind of tried to
Aware of
make
that.
museum-like.
So I know we're past the hour mark, but I'm going to add one more in for each of you because I think it's a great question for each of you. What are you most proud of from your programs this season? Because it has been such a special year, we'll call it that, right? An anomaly. You know, what are you most proud of this season so far?
Honestly, I think, you know, clearly I'm proud of them with the winning season, for sure, but just their maturity through the pandemic and their commitment to staying safe, you know, not running around on campus, you know, with the lack of social distancing. It's for a college kid to tell them you can't go socialize, is hard, you know, and they knew what was at stake, and they've really conformed to the protocols, and I'm really proud of them, you know, that they've done it. And I know it would be easy for somebody to say, well, if they want to play basketball, they just have to follow the rules. And that's true. But you're talking about 18 to 21-year-old, 22-year-old kids who want to be kids. So, and then we did well academically too, you know, on top of that, you know, so just, I'm really, that's the biggest thing I'm proud of. You know, they're not dropping their head every time there's an obstacle thrown in our face. They might get disappointed in the moment, and then they shake it off, and then they move on. And I'm very proud of that. And I know Brian is too. We talk all the time.
Yeah. You know, when we put our keys to victory on the board before every game, our last one, we put just the word care, and each letter stands for something. And it kind of makes me think of this whole year and why I'm so proud of this team, almost more than any other team. For the C, we say it stands for confidence. And they've been more confident than they probably should have been coming into the season with the inexperience that they've had, and that they had to assume different roles. And they've been very confident. Their attitude to everything has been great. Whatever we ask them to do, whether it be on the court or off the court, has just been wonderful. You know, they don't complain. They don't pout about things and stuff like that. They almost kind of make it a joke, like we should take stock in Allied van lines because we've had to move so much. R is the biggest one for me. They've been resilient in games and in all of this stuff. When all of a sudden, you know, we have to go into quarantine, and people couldn't really go home and do anything over Christmas time because of an official testing positive. And because of contact tracing, you know, 2 other times missing the last 4 games because of other people. You know, they've just been really resilient to any type of adversity that's come about. And the last thing they've given me is just a ton of energy. They've been enthusiastic, they've been energized, and we're not a rah-rah team, but they have a lot of rah-rah in them. And they play with just such a passion and energy. I've actually been in awe all year of how well they've done.
Perfect notes. And then I think we can probably wrap it up now. Thank you so much, Stephanie, Steve, John, Brian. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedules. This was a lot of fun. And I'd like to also, go ahead. I'd like to also thank Marist Athletics again for their collaboration. And as a reminder, the 2021 Hercules Tires MAAC Basketball Championships will take place March 8th through the 13th in Atlantic City and can be viewed by fans on ESPN+. There are further details at maacsports.com. There will be a full recording of this webinar available within the next few days linked from the alumni website and on the Marist Alumni YouTube channel. And I'm sure GoRedFoxes.com will link to it as well. So please continue to check out the alumni website for upcoming virtual events like this one. And we send out an events newsletter every Tuesday, if you're not getting it already. But I want to say thank you once again to everyone. Have a great evening and go Red Foxes.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Steve.